Hello friends, welcome back to my 12 Cast Ons video vlog series. I'm Emily. If you're new here, I've noticed there has been a little flurry of new subscribers, so welcome if you're new. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. It is so lovely to have you here. Today we're going to be casting on project number 5 for the 12 Cast Ons, and yeah, let's just go ahead and pull it out. I'm kind of hoping for a accessory item. I've had only garment items so far, so I'm kind of hoping for an accessory item. So let's see what we get. It's the Morning Sunshine Cowl out of some blanket scraps, and I just finished a fingering weight blanket, and my thought was I could cast on the Morning Sunshine Cowl, which is a pattern by Stephanie from Telly Bean Knits, and it's this really pretty like lacy detail cowl. And I have some scraps from that blanket, and I thought that that would be a really fun way to use them up. So let me go grab those yarns, and we'll kind of get started. I honestly kind of forgot that this one was even in there. So yeah, that'll be fun. It's more of an accessory pattern. It is an accessory pattern. My goodness, my brain is just not working super well. I'm still going on very, very little sleep. Still, the baby is just having a growth spurt of some kind, and I just haven't been sleeping very well myself. But yeah, quickly before I get the yarn, let me tell you I am wearing, we just got back from a walk, and so I have all my accessories on. This is the, I believe it's the Dottie hat by Claire Walls, I believe it is, or Flossy Knits. I test knit this for Claire a few years ago, like maybe 5 or so years ago, and this is some of my hand-dyed yarn. I'm wearing one of my mini pretty little cowls. This is a pattern by Kelene Kinnersly Designs, and this is really beautiful feather and fan detail on here, and this is knit out of Mystery Mouse Yarn Co. in an old-fashioned girl colorway. And then underneath of that, I am wearing my Faucette crop, which is a pattern by Devin of Knitty McPurly, and it's just this really, let me get up a little bit so you can see it. Really cute colorwork yoke pattern. I added some different colorwork down here at the waist. That was kind of my own twist on the pattern, if you will. Yeah, it's a great pattern. I really love it. This is the second one that I've knit, and I had knit about halfway through a third one, and then I decided that I was going to frog it and not do that project right now. But it's a great pattern, and if you're new to colorwork, this is really good because it has some mosaic, some stranded, there's striping. Like, it's a really lovely pattern, and I've really enjoyed making it, obviously, as I have 2 of them. But yeah, so let me go grab the yarn for this. Alrighty, there has been a slight change in plans. I've decided I'm going to be a little cheeky, and I'm actually going to either put this one back in the bowl or potentially swap it out for something else. And the reason I say that is I don't have much time left for today, and I would like to go ahead and cast on a 5th project. And I realized that I hadn't figured out yarn exactly as much as I needed to for this one, and I was looking at the pattern, and it was a little more complicated than I was really feeling like tackling at the moment. I'd still like to knit it at some point, but I'm going to have a rethink on this one. Because that's kind of one of those things that I want to be a little bit flexible about with this whole project, is that if I draw a project and I'm not still just as excited about it as I was when I put it in there, then I'm not going to force myself to cast it on. And also, like, we're losing daylight. I have a limited amount of time of free time before the boys come back in and want supper and everything. So I am just actually going to draw a new one. Which is, like, it's just fun. It kind of helps me narrow out, like, am I actually still excited about it? And so we're just going to draw a new one, see what different one we get, and go from there. So, so this is the Retroactive Pullover, and I had put on here Barocco Vintage Sock or Knitty McPurly One of a Kind. When I had my baby last year, my second baby, I had a little treat of having a baby treat present, and I bought my first Knitty McPurly yarn, and it's in this, I have 3 skeins of this one-of-a-kind colorway. And I was originally thinking that I was going to make this retroactive pullover in another scrappy one, But then I was like, you know what? It might be kind of fun to just make a solid colored version that would just be a really classy sweater, V-neck sweater, and it has a really interesting construction. It's cast on, it's worked side to side, and the way that it's designed is just beautiful. I test knit it and I love it. I've been wearing my version a lot recently, and so it should be a pretty easy project to wind up the yarn and cast on, because I just need to go back and check my Ravelry project page from my first version that I did, and then I will just figure out what needles I used and all of that. I think I'm just going to go with the Knitty McPurly one-of-a-kind yarn, because I'm kind of feeling in the mood today for simpler projects, and so I think I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna do the one-of-a-kind colorway, and then I would still at some point like to make the what do you call it? The scrappy, I have a lot of scraps of Baroque vintage sock left over and some really pretty colorways, but I think I will save that for a non-12 cast-ons project, because I've had that Knitty McPurly yarn for over a year and I would love to get it cast on. So I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna wind up one of those balls tonight. I don't know how much I'll be able to share with you tonight about the casting on and whatnot, but I will be sure to share with you some progress tomorrow. I'm thinking I might take tomorrow off of casting on a project. We'll see how I'm feeling, just because I feel like I haven't had just much time over this weekend, and I feel like I want to work on some of the projects a little bit more, and yeah, we'll see. It's been so much fun though to cast on a project every day, so I might cast on another one tomorrow too. But since I'm starting so late in the day, I might need an extra day tomorrow to work on this project and actually get some progress done on it. We shall see. But let me go get that yarn and I'll see if I can quickly show it to you before we lose all of the light. I feel like every time I come back out here, it's darker. Probably is. Okay, a little bit of crinkling. Let me get this open here. So, this is the one-of-a-kind Knitty McPurly colorway. It's kind of blues and oranges. I'll be perfectly honest, it did look quite different in person than it did in the listing photo, so I was a little disappointed when it got here. I do think it's still a beautiful colorway. It was just not quite matching what it had looked like in the photo, but I think that it would make a really, really pretty top of some kind, just a classic v-neck sweater, and it would be lovely to use it and kind of get it out of my stash, if you will. So yeah, I'm gonna get this wound up, and I already have the pattern printed off from when I made it before, so that's one step I don't have to worry about, and we're just gonna get started. Good morning, friends. It is 11:30, just after. We have had another very, very, very early start to our day. My 3-year-old got up at 4 a.m. again, which then I thought the baby was still gonna sleep, and so, oh, baby's crying. Hold that thought. Okay, pencil sticks and water have been dispensed. What was I even talking about? My toddler got up at 4 a.m. I thought the baby was gonna sleep, and then the baby got up. So we've all been up since 4. Well, the baby got up around 4:30, so it was a little bit later, but I'm so tired. It is ridiculous. So, needless to say, I'm taking a break day today from doing another cast on, and I'm just going to work on my day 6 cast on, the Retroactive Pullover, which is a pattern designed by Turquoise Toque Designs out of some Knitty McPurly yarn. I have caked up my yarn. It's simultaneously growing on me and not growing on me. It's very weird, and I don't know how much of that is that I'm just tired and a little bit out of it. It's a very, very thin fingering weight yarn, and so I'm pretty sure my gauge is a little bit looser than the pattern calls for, but I'm just going with it. So this is the little bit that I have done. Like, it's alright. It's paler colors than I typically do for myself. And I'm not 100% convinced. But I'm going to work on it a little bit more, give it a little bit more chance to grow a little bit because the way that this pattern is worked is it's worked side to side. So this part here, which is very hard to see, is the shoulder. And so I need to work a few more rows to actually see what it's looking like. And it is nice. It's fairly mindless. It's just knitting and purling back and forth. And the fact that I'm doing it in one color does make it a little bit easier, just because I'm not having to switch colors every 2 rows, which is fun because then you're changing colors all the time, but also not fun because yarn management. Anyway, I also decided what to do about the cowl. I had pulled the Morning Sunshine cowl out, and I've decided that I'm just going to wait on that pattern for now. I didn't really feel excited about using that yarn that I had chosen for it, and I didn't really want to try and find some other yarn, so I'm just going to hold off on that one. And my plan instead is to do a different cowl, and I was going to show you the yarn, but I'm not going to show you the yarn because then if I end up pulling that cowl on another day, because I'm just going to put it back in there and pull it later, then I can show you the yarn. But it's a very cute yarn and special yarn, and I'm excited for it. So yeah, I have that one. And then what I'm actually planning to do right now, I've shooed the children out of doors because we're actually supposed to have some very nice weather for the next like 2 or 3 days. It's supposed to be up in the 60s, like the low 60s Fahrenheit, which is amazing. I'm so grateful. We've had some very, very cold weather here, which makes sense. It's winter time, so this is honestly very balmy wintertime weather. Just checking there on the deck out there. So while they're doing that, I actually decided I'm going to cake up, because I have my Swift and ball winder out to cake up my other skeins of the Knitty McPurly yarn. I'm going to go ahead and cake up my, like maybe 2 or 3 of the minis from the Mystery Mouse Advent Calendar for my circle cardigan, which I have not picked up and worked on at all, but very, very much want to get back to. That's kind of the thing of 12 cast ons though, is that it's just so nice. But yeah, I'm going to work on caking up some yarn and just kind of getting that ready, ready to go. Okay, it is after nap time, technically. My 1-year-old took over an hour to go to sleep. We are in the beginning processes of trying to crib train him. Up to this point, I've been nursing him and then holding him until he goes to sleep, and we're trying to get him to shift over to doing his own thing. So we're starting by doing that at nap time and bedtime, and just getting him used to the idea, and then hopefully he'll start adjusting to that overnight as well, because right now he still nurses multiple times in the night, which is fine. I don't mind it, but it does mean quite disrupted sleep for me. But I finally got him down. He just took forever to go to sleep by himself, and I finished up winding up the rest of this advent calendar, which is just so beautiful seeing them all together. I absolutely love it. It's just going to be so stunning in this shawl, and I cannot wait to get to the point where I'm adding them in. But yeah, so now what I need to do is I actually need to do a little bit of needle cord swapping around. I was convinced I was going to run out of needles first, but the problem I'm actually running into is I'm running out of cables, which is really funny. So I realized that the cable that I'm using for my colorwork sweater, my day one cast on, it's just too short at this point, and I'm realizing that I'm really having to like play with the stitches to try and make sure that the floats are big enough and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check and see. I think that this cable that I have on here for my retroactive pullover, I think this cable is longer than the one that I have on my pullover, my Dreaming of Spring pullover. So I'm going to check that, and if they are, then I'm going to trade cables. And if they're not, I'm going to try and find another cable. I have like the super, super long ones, which are just too long for a sweater. But if I have to do that and then do like a magic loop section, I can do that. It's not ideal, but I can make it work. So I need to do that. And then my toddler's up. He's watching 101 Dalmatians for about the 4th or 5th time in the last 3-4 weeks. It's his like favorite thing, which I'm okay with. So I'm gonna sit down on the couch with him and just kind of cozy up, and we'll watch the movie, and I'll do some knitting, and yeah, it'll be nice to have a little bit of chill time. The baby started fussing like 45 minutes into his nap, and I was just like, no, please don't do this to me. But I was able to give him a pacifier, and he just stayed asleep. So thank you, Jesus. We can still have some chill time. So yeah, I've been watching some Kirsty knits and sews while I've been winding this yarn up, and Audrey from Audrey's Crafting Corner had uploaded a video, so I was catching up with her, and so that's been really nice. But I'm ready to sit down now and just relax. So that's what I'm gonna do. Alrighty friends, time to close out project number 5. I've actually been toting around like 4 projects in my Celtic Thunder tote bag. I love to use it as a project bag. Tote bags are some of my favorite project bags. So I've actually pulled out some project bags to transfer some projects to, so that I actually have distinct bags for each project. So I'm going to be moving my retroactive one into my retroactive pullover into this bag that I made so many years ago. So that's going to go in there, and then I can quickly show you the progress I have made, which is not much. This is definitely a slower growing project, which makes sense because it's fingering weight yarn on US size 3 or 3.25mm needles. Also, the light's a little bit harsh. That might be better. So yeah, here's where I'm at on this. I've worked about that much. You might hear some sound in the background. My toddler didn't sleep very long. He's got a stuffy nose, so he's watching 101 Dalmatians again for the umpteenth time. There's my shoulder markers. And then down here where it's narrower, you can kind of see, it just wants to curl right now. You can see how it curves in there. That's the sleeve, and then this is where the body is. And right now it's a lot of plain knitting. It's just increasing every few rounds at the markers, and that's that. So I'm going to actually start marking the increases on the side here, so that I know which round I'm supposed to increase on. But I did bring out my already made retroactive pullover so I could kind of show you in a little more detail what it's supposed to look like, because it's so hard to see it. But yeah, so you start with one of the sleeves and cast on. Actually, let me flip the seed inside here so it'll be a little bit easier to see. The sleeves, you do pick up and work some sleeves afterwards, so with some short row shaping at the top. So you start on one side and you work across until you get to the neckline, and then you stop working. I think it's I don't remember which one is worked first, but basically you work one side, back or front, first, and then you put that on pause, and then you pick back up here and work the front panel, and then you join back together and work all the way through to the same spot before the sleeves. on the second side. And you have these like almost saddle shoulder. It's kind of hard to see because I have worn this so many times, and so it is definitely showing some love. Let's see, there we go. You can kind of see the increases here across the top of the shoulder, and then after you're done you pick up around the neckline and you work this V-neck or this I-cord around there. Then you pick up at the bottom, well, you seam up the sides, then you pick up the bottom and work some ribbing. The ribbing is actually supposed to be a bit longer, but when I had made mine, it's already at like a pretty long length for me, which again I have found to be a really lovely length, so I'm super happy with it. So I actually did about half the amount of ribbon called for, and then I did the same thing for the sleeves. The sleeves you can do either short or long sleeves, and there's a few short row shaping rows at the beginning of the sleeve, and then you work the rest of the sleeve. So it's a really fun construction. It's really different. The pattern is called for to do this striping where you alternate 4 yarns, 2 bows of every color. So I'm very curious to see how much easier it's going to be not doing that. Although I do have plans to make another stripy version like this because I do love it, and I have some colors of Barocco vintage sock that will make a gorgeous one of these. So yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned it. I'm knitting the size 4. I'm using the size 3 needles, exactly the same as I did for this one. And we're gonna see how it goes. And I've actually been enjoying it because right now at least it's very mindless. It's just knit a row, purl a row, knit a row, purl a row. Which is funny because I had the realization that I'm not minding it at all. Like the cardigan that I was knitting for my husband that's knit flat, it was such a slog, and I don't know why, because it's the exact same thing. So I don't know if it was like a needles thing or a yarn thing or the fact that it was just one color thing. I don't know, but I've finished with that project for now, and I have just cast on the beginnings of my 6th cast on, and so I'm going to be knitting on that for today and see how that goes. So yeah, that's where we're at. I hope that you are really enjoying the 12 cast ons so far, and if you've been participating, I'd love to know. I've been really enjoying watching Ange's videos of Yarn and Yarns, and Kirsty Knits and Sews, and Catherine from My Making Adventure has been sharing her projects as well. And I just started following little Likac, I think is how you pronounce it, Amanda. Her channel is just lovely. I'll have all of their channels linked down below, and I do recommend you check them out if you're looking for some more lovely knitting content. But yeah, that is all from me today. I hope that you're having a wonderful one, and I will see you very shortly on the next vlog. Bye.